Welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, brought to you by the Mindset Coach Academy. I'm Lara Young, your host and Master Certified Coach. Whether you're a seasoned coach or just starting your coaching career, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things mindset, coaching, and personal development. Each week, we bring you expert insights, practical strategies, and inspirational stories to help you become the best coach you can be. Our guests range from leading industry professionals to successful mindset coaches who share their secrets for creating lasting change. Plus, I'll be answering your burning questions and sharing tips from our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program. So, if you're ready to elevate your coaching game, stay tuned and let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. In this episode, we'll be continuing last week's discussion about how to find the sweet spot between supporting and challenging your clients in your coaching sessions while integrating mindset coaching tools that will enable them to more quickly and easily achieve their goals. So today we're going to take a deep dive into some specific case studies for each niche, focusing on the tools and techniques that we use to address both the practical strategies and the mindset elements. Now, remember, of course, you can learn all of these techniques through our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program. All right, so case study one is for the niche of business coaching, and our client is Sarah. She's a small business owner. Sarah actually owns a boutique marketing agency, and despite having a steady stream of clients and positive feedback, she struggles with setting and maintaining appropriate pricing for her services. She often undercharges and over-delivers, leading to burnout and financial instability. So some of the challenges that this client presents with are around her beliefs. So Sarah has a deep-seated belief that she doesn't deserve to earn a lot of money. This stems from her upbringing where money was scarce and she was taught to value modesty and self-sacrifice, and she often gives more than she receives. In terms of Sarah's behaviours, she avoids financial discussions, so she'll rarely actually even look at the numbers in her business. She avoids talking with a bookkeeper or her accountant, and she frequently discounts her services even without being asked. So she could be on a discovery call with a client, and before they've even had the discussion around pricing, she starts to discount or she starts to add in additional bonuses to entice clients to sign up with her. In terms of her emotions, Sarah feels anxious and guilty when discussing her fees, fearing that clients will leave if she charges for the value of her services. She's worried that her clients may perceive her as being too expensive, and she also feels guilty charging for something that she does enjoy doing. Now, the impact of this is that her business is not as profitable as it could be, which has led to stress and self-doubt. And this is a self-perpetuating cycle, and it really affects Sarah's ability to reinvest in her business and to achieve long-term growth. So we can see there that Sarah's money mindset is creating issues in her business, and there's also a day-to-day impact. So Sarah experiences financial stress. She's constantly worried about making ends meet, and she often loses sleep over financial worries. So she'll wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., tossing and turning and worrying about money coming into her business, expenditure, and all of those financial considerations. She also is starting to experience burnout day to day. So she works excessively to compensate for her low fees, leaving little time for rest or personal life. Just to cover her financial needs, she needs to work with more clients in order to get the same amount of revenue in because she is undercharging. And she also is experiencing undermined confidence. So her inability to charge appropriately leads to self-doubt, and she really starting to lack her confidence as a business owner. So she also starts to get resentful as well of her clients, which then, again, not a great emotion to be experiencing when you're a coach, resenting your clients because of the low fees that she has charged them and that they're paying her for her considerable time and positive impact that she has. So she's come to us with a goal of increasing her revenue by 20% over the next 6 months. So she recognizes that she's got, some things that she wants to work on. And really specifically in terms of a goal, she does want to increase that revenue by 20%. So some of the tools and techniques that we can use here with Sarah are conducting a detailed personal history, and this will really help us to understand Sarah's background and past experiences with money. So some of those beliefs that she's picked up from her family that maybe have been passed down generation to generation, and how has that actually impacted her right throughout her life and her working career to date, because we really want to understand, her experiences with money and how they've shaped her current beliefs. We can also start to get Sarah to think differently about money, and that can be a habit that we start to install very early on with Sarah by using things like journaling or affirmation processes. So we can provide Sarah with some journal prompts so that she starts getting her brain used to tuning into those positive affirmations and the positive outcomes and evidence that, money is something that she can attract, that she is worthy and deserving of having. And so we can include for Sarah some things like affirmations like, I deserve to be financially successful, and money is a tool that helps me achieve my goals. There are lots of different affirmations. We provide some journals and some affirmations for you for all different niches in our Coach's Success Vault, which is part of course, our Mindset Coach certification program. We also want to be setting some financial goals with Sarah. So we want to make sure that she has got clear, achievable financial goals, like increasing monthly revenue by 20% over the next 6 months. And then alongside that goal, we want to make sure that we have got an action plan where we've got tangible strategies for increasing sales, improving marketing, and managing expenses. We really want to make sure that Sarah's pricing is on point for where she needs to be. And this, again, is very practical coaching where we're looking at really helping her to make some incremental changes. We may even, together with Sarah, decide that she's going to increase her prices from a certain date. We may also recognize, for example, that Sarah needs to improve her visibility and her marketing in her business so that is really consistent, so that she's got a pipeline of clients coming in. We may also want to look at helping Sarah with her packages so that she is actually refining those packages so that she can really step into the belief in terms of the value of the outcome her work achieves with her clients, and then she can actually feel really comfortable about charging, for that value of the outcome that she helps her clients to achieve. And we also may want to dive into helping Sarah with managing her expenses. And, she's been burying her head in the sand in relation to money in her business. So we may want to really highlight that for her and have her do some exercises around, a financial dashboard, speaking to her bookkeeper, speaking to an accountant, depending, of course, on our specific level of expertise. There we may bring in some of our consulting skills. From a mindset perspective as well, we really want to make sure that we understand those limiting beliefs that Sarah has around money. She may have some limiting decisions as well. So we could use things like conscious belief change, subconscious belief change, and of course timeline therapy for really getting to that root cause of those beliefs, whether that is passed down from, genealogically and through her ancestors. We can actually get to the root cause using timeline therapy and pull those out by the roots, those beliefs, and replace them with more constructive beliefs that are going to really help Sarah in achieving her goals. We can also embed this through things like hypnotherapy, working on Sarah's confidence and Sarah's self-worth. And we can also help to install some habits around the practical money elements, like having a money date with her business every week, even if it's just for an hour, to go over those financials and to be really across everything and a good custodian of her money in her business. Something else that we can do from a mindset perspective is to really look at Sarah's values and make sure that Sarah's business goals are aligned with her values, particularly in relation to money and success. Oftentimes, what we find with small business owners, with entrepreneurs, and with coaches in particular, that when we come to do values, abundance or financial security are not there, they're not present. And that means, of course, that we're not paying attention to that, and we're also not focusing on it and having systems and structures in place so that that financial abundance can occur within the business. The other thing that you're going to want to do with Sarah is to make sure that you are checking in with her regularly and making sure that she is doing the tasking that she has been assigned and that you've mutually agreed between you, and adjusting those strategies as needed. Once those prices have been increased, then the next strategy may be around looking at packaging, looking at marketing, etc. And again, a 90-day plan with this client would be really, really useful because you can focus on key themes each 90 days. And when one key theme is addressed, then you can move on to the next one. So the next niche is parenting coaching. And in this example, we've got Lisa. Lisa's a single mother who's co-parenting with her ex-husband. And the background of this is that Lisa and her ex-husband divorced 2 years ago, and they share custody of their 2 children. The co-parenting relationship is strained due to past conflicts and differing parenting styles. So there are some challenges that Lisa faces. She finds it difficult to communicate with her ex-husband without arguments, leading to inconsistent parenting. They get one parenting style from mum and one from their dad. She's also experiencing stress, so she feels overwhelmed by the dual responsibility of parenting and working full-time. She's also under some emotional strain because there's residual resentment there from the divorce, which impacts her interactions with her ex-husband. And then the lack of coordination and communication also then affects the children who feel caught up between their parents. Now, in terms of the day-to-day impact, what this looks like is inconsistent routines because the children are experiencing different rules and routines between the 2 different households that leads to confusion and also some emerging behavioural issues. Emotional exhaustion. Lisa is emotionally drained from constant conflict, affecting her performance at work and her relationship with her children. And she also experiences tension at exchanges. So when the handovers happen, they're tense, they can be tearful, which often leads to arguments in front of the children as well. Now, Lisa's goal is to develop a harmonious co-parenting relationship and to really establish consistent routines for the children. So some of the things that we can do to support Lisa are to work with her to improve her communication skills with active listening and maybe some conflict resolution and boundary setting. So helping Lisa to put some boundaries in place. And also from a practical point of view, work with Lisa to develop a detailed co-parenting plan with schedules and responsibilities that she can then discuss with her ex-husband. Some of the challenges are around conflict resolution. So whilst Lisa really does want to maintain, a calm presence and a friendly presence when in those exchanges with her ex-husband, particularly in front of the children, she doesn't necessarily have the skills to do so. So we really want to be able to help her to develop her conflict resolution skills, some emotional intelligence, and emotional regulation for her as well, because she's always anticipating something going wrong in these exchanges, and we know that that's the emotion she's bringing into them. She gets quite stressed even at the thought of handover day. So we really want to start to teach some of those negotiation and mediation skills in our coaching sessions, really support Lisa to be able to do that and be able to anticipate what's going to happen at those handover days, and also to help her establish habits herself so that she's got consistent routines in her home with her children. And then for our mindset element, we really want to help Lisa with her emotion regulation. So we may work with her on doing some mindfulness, some stress relief, some breathing activities. We also may want to do some anchoring in there or some EFT so that when she does feel those heightened emotions, she's able to recognize them, acknowledge them, but then able to help them to work through her body so that she's regulated herself, which means then, of course, she's a good role model for her children. Also using some reframing techniques so that we can help Lisa to reframe co-parenting as not a battle, but as a partnership which is focused on the children's overall well-being, and also use some timeline therapy to resolve some past emotional issues with her ex-husband. There are probably some limiting decisions in there, and there's also likely to be some negative emotions associated with the breakup. And so we can work with Lisa to really release those so that she's no longer experiencing those in every interaction that she has with him. And we also want to follow up with Lisa as well. So we want to have regular check-ins, helping her to address any challenges. So we may provide Voxer support or messaging support between sessions. And it may be as well that if you are a coach working in this area, that you have a support network for parents who are navigating co-parenting as well. The next niche is leadership coaching, and this case study is for Mark, who's a middle manager aiming for a promotion. So Mark has been with his company for 7 years and he's aiming for a senior management position. And despite his technical expertise, he struggles with emotion regulation during team meetings, often getting frustrated and angry. One of the things that can often happen with emerging leaders and people who are being promoted from technical roles within an organization, so they're really regarded for their expertise on the technical side, is that they may not necessarily have those leadership qualities that will make them a suitable candidate or make them be seen to be a suitable candidate for promotion. And, sometimes it can be those things like frustration and anger that happen that then mean that the person, or as much as they really want to be promoted in the organisation, they're not viewed as a potential leadership candidate. So some of the challenges that Mark has is around emotion regulation. He's got a short temper, especially when team members fail to meet expectations or deadlines. This often happens during team meetings where team members come unprepared. They haven't done a report that they were meant to do for the meeting. Maybe they haven't created a presentation. They're not ready for it, and Mark gets really frustrated and he's got a short fuse. So that comes out during those meetings. Because of that, he's also starting to doubt his leadership ability. Why don't people listen to me? Why aren't people prepared when I ask them to be prepared? And he may feel inadequate compared to his peers. And again, that's going to just fuel that self-doubt. His interpersonal relationships are being damaged by the frustration that he demonstrates. So because he's inconsistent and he lacks a bit of emotional regulation and he has those outbursts, it really does affect team morale and productivity. People just don't know what to expect from him, or they talk about him as a hothead, or he's got a temper, or watch out for Mark. And so what happens then as a result of that is that his reputation for being difficult to work with is becoming a real barrier to his promotion. Now, in the day-to-day working, in the terms of team dynamics, it's tense in the team because people are now starting to avoid him. They're not sure what to expect. Mark's feeling a lot of stress because he feels constant pressure to prove himself, and his emotional outbursts are starting to be noted by senior management. And again, this is going to hinder his chances for promotion. So his goal is really to improve his leadership skills and emotional regulation to become a suitable candidate for that next level job. So some of the things that we can do to help Mark are to really help him with his emotional intelligence so that he understands the emotions that he's feeling. He understands what the trigger is for them, what causes him to feel that way. And we know that someone experiences a situation that leads to a thought about that situation, either positive or negative, resourceful or unresourceful, and then that leads to an emotional response. Now, at the moment, that situation and the thought is not leading Mark into a positive and empowering emotional state. So we need to work with him on that. We also need to work with Mark around stress management. So, it may be looking at his time and his productivity. Maybe he's not taking enough regular breaks. I mean, some of these things can be really practical, just to ask Mark, well, how often do you take time for a cup of tea during the working day? What are you doing to actually manage your time, your productivity? How are you managing your stress? What are you doing after work? What physical exercise do you get? How is your sleep? And those are things that we can help Mark with. For example, we can help Mark to get a better night's sleep through hypnotherapy, for example. We have some great hypnotherapy sleep scripts, which really help just to de-stress, decompress at the end of the day. Are you looking for ongoing support and resources to continuously grow as a coach? Join our coaching membership at the Mindset Coach Academy. As a member, you'll have access to exclusive training opportunities, live Q&A sessions, coaching supervision, and a library of resources to help you stay at the top of your game. It's a fantastic way to stay connected, inspired, and informed. Head over to mindsetcoachacademy.com to join our thriving community today. So we can also start to work with Mark to develop a personalised leadership development plan. So for him, that includes specific goals around the areas that he knows that he needs to develop, and specifically around team communication, team leadership, and some of those conflict resolution skills. And we can also sort of help him to work through some situations, perhaps that have happened in the past, and look at ways that he could have handled them more calmly and effectively. And then also future pace that with Mark to say, well, if this happens in the future, what are some of the strategies that you can use to manage the situation, in an emotionally intelligent way, so that you're maintaining the esteem and the productivity of your team. We can also start to increase Mark's self-awareness and really that correlation between the situations that arise, his thoughts, and then his emotions. And for him to start really noticing what actually triggers his frustration and anger response, and then what practically he can do to prevent those things from happening, and how he can actually shift his mindset so that he's no longer responding with that knee-jerk reaction, that he's much more considered and emotionally intelligent. We can also help him to reframe his thoughts, like, my team are out to get me, no one listens to me. We can actually help him to reframe those thoughts to adapt a much more positive and solution-focused mindset. Mark is going to need regular ongoing feedback and support, and it may be that we even check with Mike if he'd like us to observe him in a team meeting, for example, to provide some of that feedback and, that really constructive feedback, and also perhaps even seeking some 360-degree feedback from the organisation, so that Mark has that in the round feedback from his team members, from some peers, and from maybe the senior leaders as well. And we also really want to help Mark to really shift some of his limiting beliefs as well about leadership. And we can do this by using some belief change techniques, maybe some timeline therapy, looking at the history of, who has Mike learnt from, who has he had as a role model in the leadership role. And so, there's lots that we can be doing for Mark in that coaching process on both the mindset aspect as well as, some practical and tactical solutions too. So let's now look at dating coaching. So Jane is a recently divorced woman in her 50s, and she was married for 25 years before her divorce 2 years ago. She's now looking to re-enter the dating scene, but feels insecure and unsure about how to navigate it. So some of the challenges are around Jane's self-worth. Her confidence has been shaken by the divorce. She questions her attractiveness and desirability, and she fears being rejected or not finding a compatible partner at her age. She also finds that the dating landscape has changed significantly since she was last single, and she feels out of touch with dating apps and, the different ways that she can meet people these days. And so she's really hesitant, and she feels quite insecure. So she's actually not really taking those first steps towards dating. So day to day, this impacts Jane because she feels lonely, but she avoids social situations where she may meet potential partners, and she engages in a lot of negative self-talk, which reinforces her fears and her insecurities. Things like, I'll never meet a partner at my age, all the good ones are taken, no one's going to want someone like me. And so Jane actually avoids setting up dates. She procrastinates on setting up profiles, attending social events, and it really does delay her progress. So if Jane's at home all the time, not doing anything or going anywhere, she's definitely diminishing her chances of meeting a new partner. So the goal is to really build confidence and to start actively dating with a goal of going on one date per month. So we really want to support Jane by helping her with her confidence and doing some confidence building exercises, some affirmations, recognizing her strengths and what she can contribute to a relationship, and also developing a dating strategy, including creating online profiles and engaging in more social activities. We really want Jane to step a little bit outside of her comfort zone too, start to attend some social events or join some clubs that are of interest to her, and starting to set those goals like having one date every month to really give her something to work towards. From a mindset perspective, we want to look at her values around relationships. What is important to her in a relationship and how are those values fulfilled? And have that really deep discussion with Jane about what she's really looking for in a relationship as well. We also want to start looking at her self-worth and some of the beliefs around that too. She's come out of a 25-year marriage. Her beliefs will have been shaped in part through that. And so we want to explore that with her and help her to change or reframe any of those past negative experiences, with the real focus on the lessons learned and personal growth. How has she developed through that experience? We can also start to use things like hypnotherapy with Jane so that her confidence is boosted, she can visualize successful dating experiences, and she can also really start to work, even perhaps with the law of attraction, around who is it that I want to attract in a partner? What are all those qualities that I'm looking for? And so those things can work really brilliantly together. We can also then follow up with Jane by having some post-date reflections. We can discuss those with her in coaching sessions, and we can also perhaps even provide her with a support system as well, particularly if you're a dating coach in this scenario for women, and you have a group like a Facebook group or something like that, or maybe you're running a group program, and that's a great support system for people because they're all going through a like experience. Now, our final niche is wellness coaching, and this time we're going to look at John. John's aiming to run his first marathon. He's always enjoyed running, but has never participated in a marathon before. He decided to set this ambitious goal to challenge himself and improve his fitness. So some of the challenges that we've discovered that John faces around consistency. So he's really busy at work, so he struggles to maintain a regular training schedule. He also experiences some doubt. He doubts his ability to complete a marathon, especially during challenging training runs. So it's actually when John is on the runs and he's out there and he starts to puff and breathe heavily, he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. He also has some unhealthy habits like inconsistent sleep patterns, poor dietary choices. Sometimes he'll go out for a few beers and then have a kebab and wake up not feeling so great necessarily on his training mornings, and that really does affect his training. And he's also inconsistent, and he is inconsistent in his training progress and motivation. So day to day, what this looks like is there are gaps in his training. So he will skip training sessions, and that actually leads to a lack of progress and increased frustration. So he's going out on these long runs, he's still breathing really hard, and he's like, will I ever improve? Because he's got a poor diet, and inconsistent sleep, it means that often he has low energy levels. And when we know this ourselves, don't we? When we feel like we've got low energy, we are a bit more apathetic about doing what we need to do. It makes it harder for him to train. And his self-doubt also creates mental blocks in long runs. So he gives up early. Oftentimes he'll be, a few Ks in and he'll give up rather than keeping going. So his goal is to complete his first marathon with a solid training plan and improved lifestyle habits. So having that plan in place and really personalizing that training plan to fit in around his work schedule is really important, and having that gradual increase in intensity and distance, and also helping him have proper nutrition and recovery techniques is so important. If you're a coach in this space, sometimes you need to provide recipes or cooking videos so that people are maintaining their nutrition, and also having a really specific training plan that will help your clients go from A to B, and they'll notice that consistent progress can be so powerful, because that consistency is key, having those smaller milestones to maintain a regular training schedule. And it's all habit building, right? Everything we do as coaches should be designed to be habit building for our clients, whether it's in health and wellness or business coaching or parenting coaching. And so having that level of consistency, accountability that forms habits, absolutely key in the work that we do. We can also then start to work with his mindset around his belief in his ability by looking at his past achievements and strengths. We can use visualization techniques. We can put a goal in the future using timeline therapy. And we can also help him to step into his identity as a runner. There's a big difference between someone saying, I'm going to run a marathon, and I am a runner. It's fundamental at that identity level. He wants to think and act like a runner and really maintain that discipline. So working on identity is a key part of the mindset element here. And also, as I said earlier, working on that habit change, developing and maintaining a consistent training routine with specific times and pre-run rituals. We call these anchors, anchoring in, stacking habits so that we know that when you wake up in the morning, when the alarm goes off, you look at the chair at the end of the bed and there's your running gear. You get out of bed, you put that on, and then you go for a run. Those kind of things, habit stacking, and really does help to create consistency, especially if we're doing it at the same time every single day in the same order. What we also want to do here is to make sure, as always, that we're tracking progress. And it might be that you encourage this client to use a running app or a journal. You can create your own forms in Canva. We've got a lot available in our Coaches Success Vault for the Mindset Coach certification program that you can use. And these are really powerful just to help our clients as well notice how far they've come and the progress that they've made. And then you're going to want to regularly review the training program and address any challenges that come up for this client. So as you can see across all of those examples, we're integrating practical strategies plus mindset elements to really help provide comprehensive support to our clients. We want to be able to help our clients to overcome those barriers, whether they are conscious level barriers or whether they're unconscious level barriers, so that they can achieve their goals more effectively. And when you have the comprehensive mindset coaching toolkit that we equip you with at the Mindset Coach Academy, you will actually be able to do this so that your clients can achieve their goals more consistently, more reliably, and more quickly than ever before. Bye for now. That wraps up today's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. I hope you found it as inspiring and informative as I did. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow coaches. Your support helps us reach more people and continue to bring top-notch content every week. Remember, you can always learn more about our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program, our coaching membership, and other training opportunities by visiting mindsetcoachacademy.com. Thank you for tuning in, and keep striving to become the best coach you can be. Until next time, this is Lara Young signing off. Stay motivated and keep transforming lives.